Welcome to Visual Fantasy Book Recommendations, the channel dedicated to fantasy and science fiction book summaries, reviews, and recommendations. It is very helpful if you hit the like, comment, subscribe, and share. Help build my channel, and let's take a look into the best fantasy and sci-fi realms out there. Welcome to Visual Fantasy Book Recommendations, where we explore the books that changed fantasy forever. I'm your host, and today we're venturing into one of the most emotionally devastating and absolutely brilliant fantasy series ever written. Imagine this. A 6-year-old boy stands shivering in a castle courtyard, clutching nothing but the clothes on his back. He doesn't know his mother's name. His father, a prince, has never acknowledged him. The servants whisper "bastard" when they think he can't hear. This child has no future, no prospects, no hope, except for one terrifying possibility. He could become the kingdom's most deadly weapon. This is how Robin Hobb begins Assassin's Apprentice, and from that first haunting scene, readers know they're in for something extraordinary. Today, we're diving deep into why this 1995 novel didn't just launch a beloved trilogy. It revolutionized fantasy literature itself. FitzChivalry enters the world already broken by it. Robin Hobb doesn't ease readers into her harsh medieval landscape. She throws them directly into the Six Duchies, a storm-lashed coastal kingdom under siege. The Red Ship raiders prowl the waters, wielding a magic so horrific it strips people of their very humanity, leaving behind empty husks called the Forged. But the external threats pale next to the viper's nest of court politics young Fitz must navigate. King Shrewd rules from his throne, ancient and calculating. Prince Verity shoulders the kingdom's defense against the raiders, his strength slowly draining away. And Prince Regal schemes in shadows, his ambition as sharp as any blade. Into this powder keg walks Fitz, illegitimate, unwanted, politically inconvenient. Most fantasy heroes discover their chosen ones destined for greatness. Fitz discovers he's a tool to be used, discarded, or eliminated as circumstances require. The brilliance of Hobb's approach becomes immediately clear. She's not interested in power fantasies. She's exploring what it costs to survive in a world that sees you as expendable. Burrich, the gruff stablemaster who becomes Fitz's reluctant guardian, tries to teach the boy discipline and loyalty, but Fitz carries gifts that set him apart and mark him as dangerous. The wit allows him to bond with animals, a magic viewed with superstitious dread. The skill grants telepathic abilities tied to his royal blood, but using it risks madness or death. These aren't the clean, heroic magics of traditional fantasy. They're double-edged swords that isolate Fitz further from normal human connection while making him invaluable to those who would use him. Enter Chade, the king's assassin, a figure who operates so deep in shadows that officially, he doesn't exist. Chade recognizes potential in the bastard prince and begins molding Fitz into something far more dangerous than anyone suspects. But here's where Hobb subverts every expectation about fantasy assassins. There are no dramatic midnight chases across rooftops, no theatrical sword fights, no glamorous spy work. Instead, Chade teaches Fitz patience. He learns to mix poisons that mimic natural death. He studies how to listen at keyholes without being detected. He masters the art of being invisible in plain sight. Most crucially, he learns that assassination isn't about killing. It's about serving. Every mission Fitz undertakes serves the crown's interests, never his own. Every life he takes chips away at his soul, but refusing isn't an option. The kingdom's survival often depends on the quiet elimination of threats, and Fitz becomes the instrument of that elimination. Hobb writes these scenes with unflinching honesty. There's nothing romantic about watching a teenage boy struggle with the moral weight of murder, even when that murder serves the greater good. Fitz's internal conflicts feel achingly real because Hobb never lets readers forget the human cost of political necessity. What elevates Assassin's Apprentice beyond typical fantasy fare is its unflinching examination of loyalty, what it demands, what it costs, and whether it's ever truly rewarded. Fitz's loyalty to the Farseer crown becomes both his defining characteristic and his greatest weakness. He serves a king who barely acknowledges his existence. He kills for princes who see him as a useful tool rather than a person. He sacrifices his own happiness, his relationships, even his identity for a kingdom that will never fully accept him. The most heartbreaking example involves Molly, Fitz's childhood love. Their relationship represents everything normal and good that Fitz might have had, if he weren't bound by duties he never chose. Watching Fitz choose loyalty to the crown over personal happiness time and again becomes genuinely painful, especially when that loyalty is rarely reciprocated. Hobb demonstrates masterful psychological insight in showing how Fitz rationalizes these choices. He doesn't serve because he's noble or self-sacrificing by nature. He serves because it's all he knows, because the alternative, abandoning his post, feels like betraying everything that gives his life meaning. This creates a fascinating paradox. Fitz's greatest strength, his unwavering loyalty, is also what traps him in cycles of exploitation and abuse. Readers find themselves simultaneously admiring his dedication and wanting to shake him for his refusal to demand better treatment. While Fitz's personal journey anchors the narrative, Hobb weaves it seamlessly into larger political machinations that feel genuinely complex rather than arbitrarily complicated. The threat of the Red Ship Raiders provides external pressure that forces difficult decisions. Their practice of forging, magically removing empathy and human connection from their victims, creates a horror that goes beyond simple warfare. The Forged aren't zombies or monsters. They're people stripped of everything that makes them human, leaving behind shells that look familiar but feel utterly alien. This external threat amplifies internal tensions. Prince Verity exhausts himself using the skill to coordinate the kingdom's defense, slowly burning out his mind to protect his people. Meanwhile, Prince Regal manipulates court politics for personal gain, more concerned with securing power than protecting the realm. Fitz becomes caught between these competing loyalties, serving as spy, assassin, and sacrifice as needed. The political intrigue never feels contrived because it grows naturally from the character's motivations and the kingdom's genuine crises. What makes Assassin's Apprentice revolutionary isn't just its dark tone or complex politics. It's Hobb's fundamental approach to fantasy storytelling. First, she writes from an intimate first-person perspective that feels like a memoir rather than an adventure tale. Fitz narrates his own story from some future vantage point, looking back on his youth with hard-won wisdom and deep regret. This creates immediate intimacy between reader and character while adding layers of dramatic irony. We know Fitz survives to tell his tale, but we don't know what it costs him. Second, Hobb focuses relentlessly on emotional truth over spectacular action. The most memorable scenes aren't battles or magical displays but quiet moments of connection, betrayal, and loss. A shared meal with Burrich carries more weight than a sword fight. Fitz's gradual alienation from normal human relationships hurts more than any physical wound. Third, she refuses to provide easy answers or clean resolutions. By the novel's end, Fitz has grown tremendously but lost even more. He's more capable but less human. He served his kingdom faithfully but received little recognition for his sacrifices. The victory feels hollow because of what it cost to achieve. Assassin's Apprentice didn't just influence fantasy literature, it helped redefine what fantasy could be. Published in 1995, it appeared just as the genre was beginning to move away from Tolkien-influenced epic fantasy toward more personal, psychologically complex narratives. Hobb demonstrated that fantasy readers were hungry for stories that prioritized character development over world-building spectacle. She showed that magic could be painful rather than empowering, that heroes could be victims, and that serving the greater good often required terrible personal sacrifice. Nearly 30 years after publication, Assassin's Apprentice continues to find new readers because it addresses universal themes through fantastical circumstances. Everyone has felt like an outsider at some point. Everyone has struggled with questions of identity and belonging. Everyone has faced impossible choices between competing loyalties. Fitz's specific circumstances, bastard prince, magical abilities, assassin training, create the fantasy framework, but his emotional journey resonates across cultures and generations. The novel also benefits from Hobb's exceptional prose. Her writing is elegant without being flowery, descriptive without being overwrought. She has a particular gift for sensory details that ground readers in her world. the smell of hay in Birch's stables, the bitter taste of medicinal herbs, the weight of winter wool against skin. Most importantly, Hobb never betrays her characters for the sake of plot convenience. Every choice feels organic, every consequence earned. When tragedy strikes, it feels inevitable rather than arbitrary. When small moments of happiness appear, they shine all the brighter for being rare. Assassins Apprentice stands as one of fantasy literature's finest achievements not because it revolutionized magic systems or created innovative world building, though it does both, but because it never forgets that the most compelling fantasy springs from recognizable human truth. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.